because surf and rescue doesn't always make a whole lot of sense to people. So we have various things that tie those stories together.
The Virginia Beach Surf and Rescue Museum was the first museum in the city of Virginia Beach. It opened in '81. We were the repository for everything Virginia Beach and then Princess Anne County. And so that's why we have a little of a lot of things from the old hotels that were down here, the surfboards, all the early life-saving equipment. I mean, anything you could probably imagine we might have. There's a chance we have something that you want to see.
I've noticed over the years so many historic structures up and down the boardwalk have disappeared. I mean, really at this point, we're down to what I would say are 3 highly significant historic structures. One is the Waterfowl Museum on the south end. 2 is this museum here at 24th Street. And the 3rd is the Old Cavalier, which is up around 42nd Street. Other than those 3, there's not a lot left.
So much of the city began down here. That's, was the reason why when they were going to decommission the Coast Guard station, this station, by 1969, the community rallied and, said, save it. We don't need another hotel. We want something that is going to represent the community, people that were here before us, and to be able to tell our stories.
Well, Virginia Beach is very instrumental in the first line of defense on the water. Because of that, and because it's coastal, you've got ships coming in to this area up to the ports. That there's a lot of sandbars in this area. And if you ever look at a map of what they call the ghost fleet, there are tons and tons of shipwrecks just off the coast here all the way down into the Outer Banks. And it's because of that, this type of organization was born. They saw the need for there to be people who would be willing to go out and try to help these folks when they shipwreck off the coast. If they got confused in their positioning or they got stuck on a sandbar, just being able to get people willing to go out.
It was the beginning, basically, of the U.S. Coast Guard. There were 5 stations along the coast right here. Not necessarily that they were built in this order, but Cape Henry was number 1. We were station number 2. There was Dam Neck Mills, Little Island, and False Cape. They were all about 6 to 8 miles apart, and they all worked together for the common good of making sure that any ships in distress, people were brought safely to the beach and salvaged what they could with the ships.
That grew this community. The whole reason Virginia Beach, as it is now, exists at all is because of the Lifesaving Service, the Lighthouse Service, the Cutter Revenue Service, and what eventually became the Coast Guard.
So in 1878, there was the first U.S. Lifesaving Service building here. They eventually outgrew that building, so the one in 1903 was built, and that's the building that we work out of today. That serves as the nonprofit that is the Surf and Rescue Museum.
One of the things that's definitely notable is that as the city was growing, there was a need for lifeguards on the beach. So by the 1930s, the Hennett family started a service, and basically they were funded by selling, I believe, renting umbrellas, rafts, and chairs. My understanding is that early on, some of the hotels would pay to have lifeguards. I'm not sure if it was just around their pools or on the beach, but there was definitely a need for it. You come from all these different places, many of them which are landlocked, and you don't understand the ocean, and swimming, you could get in trouble really quick, and that's not what you want to happen on your vacation.
In Virginia Beach, we go on so many rescues. One summer we saved over 1,000 people.
We cover 2nd Street through 42nd Street, 56, 57, and Croatan Beach, and our supervisors patrol up and down the north end during the day.
I think that one of the most important things that we do is we act as ambassadors for the city of Virginia Beach, for the people who are visiting. And so what do I mean by that? We not only keep people safe, but we also give them a lot of information. We tell them what is and is not allowed, what they can and cannot do legally. We also tell them where to go. This is where you get food. This is where the bathrooms are. All these different things. And people don't necessarily identify that as being really what we're responsible for, but I did. And it was made plain to me when I was lifeguarding that the city really does regard us as important frontline points of contact with the general public coming in. A lot of people show up here, they've never even seen the ocean. And they walk out and they don't know anything. And they'll ask you some silly questions sometimes. But I never had an argument with a single person when I was working as a lifeguard. And it's partially because I didn't believe it was my job to argue with people. I thought it was my job to help them have a good day. Having a good day might mean keeping them out of trouble in the water or rescuing them if they get into trouble. But it also means giving them information, making them feel welcome, making them want to come back. So I think that's really important. And the best lifeguards, I think, do that really well.
Preventive life-saving is our mantra. That's what we're always looking to do. As much as we love making the big rescue, our goal is not to put anybody in a position where they are in danger enough that they have to be rescued. It's going to happen, but our goal is to educate, warn people about immediate dangers, moving them out of rip current areas.
Common recurrence is the sandbar. Really, people going out onto the sandbar and then getting in trouble. The thing about sandbars is once the water comes in, it's got to go out. And there's usually a break in the sandbar, and that's where the rip is. And the common occurrence is there's waves on this side, there's waves on this side. It looks calm in the middle, but that's the rip. And there's all kinds of situations that our guards come across. I can tell you this, it's one of those jobs where they grow up fast.
I think that training on the beach makes you the most prepared that you can be. Just practicing those real life scenarios with different victims definitely helps you get an idea of what your actual rescues will look like.
Training is a little more intense, which is a good thing. We do a lot of mock rescues. We do a lot of, scene safety and how to handle situations. We have ATVs that are ready to go. They have AEDs in them, oxygen in them, first aid kit, everything you need. It's basically a mini ambulance, so to speak.
I'm a lifeguard here for the Virginia Beach Lifesaving Service. We follow the United States Lifesaving Association certified agency requirements, which is mainly a 500-meter swim in 10 minutes or less. That's the number one thing you got to do just to get on board. And there's a 40-hour surf rescue training course. There is CPR for professional rescuer. There's an advanced first aid course. All those things have to be passed before they get up on the stand by themselves to do the job. The main aspects are 3 different sessions out on the beach doing surf rescue training, the entries, the dolphin diving, approaching victims, getting victims active, passive, spinal injuries out of the water, all of those things that could happen on a daily basis. They've got to train for that. And then really what I would say maybe the most important training they do is they spend 2 days mentoring with veteran guards. And that's where they're up in the stand, seeing what's happening, hearing the radio, getting all the things that are going on around them, because that's when you see all the distractions that can happen and how to focus and what to listen for and what you're really looking for and seeing it as you're doing it. That's, I still think, is the most invaluable training they get.
For most people at the age that they come into lifeguarding, it's an introduction, is the beginning of first responders for them. When they're starting as lifeguards at 16, 17 years old, this is their first experience. Most of them gravitate towards it, they enjoy it. They decide that they want to make it a lifelong career and develop within that.
We have so many lifeguards that are in public safety now. Fire, police, EMS, doctors, PAs, parajumpers in the Air Force, and rescue swimmers in the Navy. And I feel like it just expands out from here and people get a taste of the public safety aspect of this and want to keep doing it for the rest of their lives.
Lifeguarding for me, it's part of the community. It's become part of my family. It teaches people how to work together as a team, lets them get closer, and it helps them develop relationships outside of here. People get married, become lifelong friends, business partners. It goes on and on.
Every year we have the junior lifeguards come by. They have a few different sessions during the summer, and they come by, a quick walkthrough tour of the downstairs gallery and then the upstairs gallery just to see that early life saving and how that evolved into what they're learning at their junior guard camp.
So the Junior Lifeguard Program is a program done around the country by the United States Lifesaving Association chapters to introduce beach safety to the youth, to teach them skills they might need on a daily basis out on the beach. So the Junior Lifeguard Program evolved from sort of a one-day showcase to becoming a really big part of our summer. 3 or more one-week sessions, dozens of junior campers in each of those sessions, and a couple things about that. It's great education for our youth in the area, and sometimes folks that come from far away, old guards and family members of friends that come and want to put their kids in something great for learning about the ocean and the dangers of the ocean and having a whole lot of fun. And hopefully to recruit them to become lifeguards in the future. We've had plenty of them that have, and hopefully we'll have a lot more in the future. And it's just a great program. It really does provide some energy to our summer, having that just fun, high enthusiastic, very motivated group of kids out here that really just love seeing what we do, and the guards loved being able to mentor them for a couple weeks at a time.
We've also had a few classes from Virginia Wesleyan meteorology courses come by and do some tours to learn about how their meteorology and that weather patterns have affected life down here and affected why we have so many shipwrecks and why life saving is needed, and see that connection between what they're learning in college to early days of history in a practical sense.
Recent years, since Dana has come on board, our new executive director, I've heard so many wonderful stories of her connecting the artifacts in the museum back with the community. Some are on loan, some are gifted to us, and where she had an opportunity to connect with the families again, she's been reaching out to them. And oftentimes they come in and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited that you guys are still displaying this. And they oftentimes come in here with new stories or new artifacts that are relevant. I take that as being a connection to the community, and also I feel pride when I hear those stories.
They've done incredible work as far as the programs that have come along and the things that they've come up with to educate the public.
We're looking at, other opportunities and different ways of raising more awareness about the museum, whether it be venue rentals or private tour groups, just, having the opportunity to share the building and what we have to offer with people that are interested.
One of the things, which is we have a new timeline that's a little more transparent, a little easier to follow. Try to bring in a lot of photographs because there are things that are just size-wise we just can't have. So we have models, and then also having the text and having it as concise as possible, but still giving good information, make me want to learn more. So you go out and you think, this is really cool. I want to learn about this. And it kind of can stimulate people that may not be much in the terms of reading or that sort of thing, but if something catches their eye and they're like, that's really cool, I want to know more about that.
I think the early life-saving methods that we have really stand out. That includes the apparatus cart, which held all the equipment that the surfman and keeper would use, then your Lyle gun, your breeches buoy, which would be used as a life-saving method, the recreated surf boats that we have in the museum today and outside the museum, and then the Joseph Francis life car, which is right outside the museum, that giant metal tube. And as terrifying as it is to imagine those being used, it's incredible that they were able to make those things, able to use them so successfully. And if you look at the records of shipwrecks out here that Virginia Beach Station or SeaTac Station was involved in, they were pretty successful in saving people, saving equipment, saving ships from being total losses. It's incredible what they were able to do with the equipment that they had. You have a giant metal tube. You put people in there on a line. You just sent it back to shore and hoped everything went well. It's a lot of trust in that early equipment. So, and of course that equipment leads to the modern stuff we have, maybe not an exact translation, but that early life-saving eventually led to the modern life-saving because we have all these people that are now living on this coast. So then we get the early surfboards, and then eventually the hollow board from Tom Blake, and then eventually modern surfboards that everybody can know as household names, the Bing, the Lopez, your Hoffman.
You've got kind of the evolution of surfboards, some of the newer fiberglass type ones, but then you also have the Tom Blake section with there's a Tom Blake issued patented rescue board back there with the Tom Blake exhibit. So that one's kind of fun because you can see this guy was cool as hell.
Thousands of people that come by every day, especially in the summertime.
They tell their friends and family, this place is cool, let's come see. So we get a lot of visitors from all over, and it's cool to talk to them because you don't necessarily see Virginia Beach as a place for history. And we want to make people know that there's a lot of history here.
I think the history of lifesaving in Virginia Beach, when we talk about 5 years from the 100th anniversary of Virginia Beach Lifesaving Service, I think Virginia Beach should be thanked, rewarded, appreciated for having this focus on lifesaving for so long. And if you go back, obviously, to the museum here, which used to be a lifesaving station back in the 1800s, to starting out the lifeguarding in 1930s, and then we've always been kind of ahead of the curve, bringing women into our service in the early 70s before a lot of other agencies would use women as lifeguards, to going into the USLA certification program early. Kent Hinnett was one of the people who sat in on one of the early meetings of the certification committee, and as they were trying to develop national standards for life-saving agencies around the country. Virginia Beach has played a lead role. We've hosted 5 national championships. Virginia Beach is recognized as one of the main places to hold a championships, as a place that honors lifeguards. When they come here, they love coming to the Surf and Rescue Museum and seeing everything we have here. There is a place here where they are honored. But I think if you talk to every third person that's lived here for over 20 years, they either are a lifeguard alum or they know someone who is. Our history is woven throughout this community, and I think it means a lot to those who have done it and those who have been saved by it.
The technology has changed tremendously, but a lot of the challenges still remain the same. At the end of the day, you've got an ocean out there that is unpredictable, that can be dangerous for those who are not ready for it, and you've got to have people who are willing to go save people when they need it.
Statement I hear the most working here is, I've lived here my whole life, and I've never been inside, didn't know it was a museum, didn't know it ever opened. And I hope that those locals can know that there's this local history that's right here off the boardwalk. Been here since 1878, been a museum since the early 80s, and we've been here, we've been working on that mission to be that icon that we are, and to be that beacon of local maritime history, just local history in general.
The main takeaway from our mission is the preservation of our history for future generations.
Trying to educate the public and try to help them understand why this is so important and why we care about it.
You know, it's like a beacon. It's a safe place, I like to think.
I get excited bringing people over here and seeing what's being done to keep the stories alive.
The people story, the social story, that's where the interesting thing is. Without the people, none of this exists. Why are we here? The people who did the rescues lived here, slept here, worked from here, went out from here, maybe didn't come back. And I think it's important that we know why this is such a significant piece of our history as Americans. And that's what's important, is trying to keep your mindset on people. People is where everything comes down to. None of this is here without people.